Hey, I want to teach a lesson or series of lessons on using Google Apps Script to create custom functions in Google Sheets to do marketing stuff, but I'm actually not super familiar with Google Apps Script, so I'm just going to work through building out the stuff that I want to use in the course, and then I'll later break it down into actual lessons suitable for beginners. So this is just me going through some tutorials, and I'm going to build out some custom functions in a sheet, but maybe low didactic value. Maybe watch on 2x and just get like a feel for how it goes or what it looks like. But later on in the course, I'll actually break this stuff down so that it's digestible step by step. So I'm going to start with this list of names. This is from a video game, and it just always makes me laugh, these ridiculous names. Sleeve McDykel, I don't know. It brings me joy. So I'm going to start with these names on our premises. We've got some contact info for some outbound prospects, and we want to send them some custom messages. And I realize there are all kinds of platforms that do this for you. Any real like marketing automation platform, MailChimp, ConvertKit, etc. Like these will do this. But maybe we don't want to email. Maybe these are phone scripts, or we're going to go send them in mails, or we've found them all on some app and we're going to go DM them, or whatever your scenario is. I want to create the script in Google Sheets, and then I'll have it to take wherever I want. And basically, we're going to be reproducing the logic and the functionality that you do get from some sort of an app like MailChimp. So let's go. These are the names. They come, by the way, there's a whole spreadsheet of these names. It's wild. But I've just chosen a few to start. We don't need a huge data set to learn with, but once we get it right, then it'll scale to whatever size data set we want. I've got the Google Apps Script, kind of teach yourself just the basic page open here, /app script on developers.google.com. And I'm going to put up, I think I want to go with, they say they have quick starts, and this is custom functions in Sheets, which is what I want to do here, assuming I'm understanding correctly. So I'm just going to have this up for reference. And this is the kind of thing I want exactly, where you type this function, and like this is a function that you wrote. It didn't exist in Google Sheets. You wrote this function, and then you call it, and it does work for you. And then the data set that I've set up here is this one. So the names, I copy pasted them from the spreadsheet, just a few, and so they're in the far left column. And then I just made up some emails and companies for them because we want to use those to customize the message. And we may grow this data set as we add more functionality. But for today, I just observed that the names are all first name, last name in one single string, in one single cell in Excel. And I want to pull out first name, last name so I can do, hi Ted, hi Gaetan, hi Bobson. And so that's going to be the first function I'm going to write, is just a function that will give me the first name given a value like Ted Balloon. And this is something that I'm sure we could do with native Excel functions. That's interesting. Okay. I'm sure we could do this with native Excel functions without having to write JavaScript, app script, but it's good to start by building things that you already understand, that you already know how they work, versus diving in and trying to build a brand new app from scratch. So we're going to start small, and I'm just going to get the first names for all these lovely super fighting baseball players. So what I want to be able to do is to type equals, lost my keyboard. Let's try again. Type equals, and then I guess I'll call my function get, we do all caps, I guess, in Sheets. So get first name. That's pretty ugly, but okay. And then I want to feed it A2, and I would want that to do a thing. And then I could drag this down and we get the first names for all of them. Like that's where I want to be. It clearly doesn't work, and it's giving me an error message, unknown function. Because I haven't written the function, no surprises so far, going good. So I guess I don't know where to put the function. I'm pretty clear on what I want to write once I get in there, but like where does it go? That I don't know. So I'm going to go to the tutorial, and I'm skimming just for this information of like, okay, so this is a tutorial. They say create a spreadsheet. Tools script editor. There we go. So I'm going to try that out. Tools script editor. Okay. And so I wonder if I can just rename this get first name. And without knowing anything about the peculiarities of AppScript, it's based on JavaScript. I expect it to go more or less like it's supposed to go in JavaScript. So I'm going to say, okay, I want to pass a parameter, right? Because the way I wrote that, it was like get first name of the value in cell A2. So I'm just going to say it's a string, but I don't want to type string because that might be a reserve word because that's an actual data type. So I'm going to call it, let's get more specific and call it player name. So you call the function get first name, you pass it player name as an argument, and then for now, even though I know this isn't right, I'm going to have it return, what was the first one? Okay, return Ted as a string in single quotes, semicolon to close that line. And so that's how the function's going to work for now. So obviously there's no logic here, and it's not going to give the right answer for any of except for the very first one. But I just want to make sure my whole thing is wired up. I want to make sure that I can call the function, see its output in the sheet before I go getting fancy with the logic. So this is kind of, I call this like placeholder dummy code just to make it work, or hopefully make it work. So I'm going to save that. And do I need to deploy? I'm guessing I have to deploy. If I run it, what happens? So this is all stuff that I'll cover in the actual lessons because this is tiresome to watch, I'm sure. But okay, it started, it completed, nothing happened. I don't think I actually called this function, so that's not super surprising. What else can I do here? Okay, that's the function. All right, so just double checking, is this, ooh, did it work? It changed from the name error to loading. I guess I'll refresh and see if that changed anything. It says Google? What? Boom, okay. So that was it. So just noting here, I did not have to deploy. I did not have to title the project. I don't know what a good title would be, and I don't know what deploy means at this point, but it's okay because I got my thing working. So that's great. That's what I'm trying to get here is what's all the stuff I can leave out of the lesson so we can just get to coding and learn things just one at a time. Cool. Okay, so it returns Ted. So now I have a working function that I guess is specific to this project. So boom, okay. Hopefully we knew that was going to happen, right? If you look at the function itself, it just returns Ted. This is a dumb function. And so when I call it on Ted Balloon, I get Ted and I'm excited. But then when I call it on the rest, I also get Ted. And so we need to do better. I'm going to take a break here. And I'm going to talk about development environment and like feedback loop real quick. So what I've done so far is basically try something out, made it as simple as I could, to the point of stupidity, I would say. But I tried something out and then I ran it to see what happened. And I got a result back. And so first I tried it out by just typing a formula and I got a result back, which was error. There's no such function. And so that was one iteration. That was me kind of learning a little bit about my environment and what does and doesn't work and what I have access to and starting to paint a picture of what I want it to look like when it's done. So that was actually a really key step. Then I went in here and I renamed this function, and that was a good guess on my part, lucky me. I still don't know all the rules about like what's in scope here and what's available in the sheet, and there's a lot I don't know. But I went and tried that and I set it up the way I thought it should be. I gave it a return value just so the function would run. If I started typing if, blah, 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 all this stuff, then there's two possibilities. One, this whole configuration, the wiring together of this function editor with the sheet, like that could be the problem if it failed, or the code that I wrote in my function could be the problem if it failed. And I'd be sitting here like, I don't know which one it is. I have two possible problems to solve at once, and I want to avoid that. So that's why I'm trying to go for really simple iterations, change a tiny bit at a time, and have a tight feedback loop so I can see, okay, I did the thing, what happened? In that sense, and with that in mind, now that it's time to write the actual logic that's going to take the player name, which is a full string with a space in the middle and both of the names there, return the first one. Well, now that it's time to do that, I actually don't want to do it here. I want to go practice that in an environment with a tighter feedback loop. What I mean by that is if I start typing code right here on line 2 that I think works, what I have to do to test that code, right? Like do something and then see what happened when you did it. So I do the thing, I type the code, I have to go back over to this other tab, and I assume I'd have to refresh, or maybe I just have to wait to see what all these update to. And typically I'll make a lot of small mistakes in coding, even simple stuff. And so that's a long time to wait to find out, hey, you made a small mistake, which to repeat is the outcome I expect until it finally works. So I want to be in a place where I can try something and immediately be told, hey, it worked, or oops, something's wrong. And so I'm actually going to open the DevTools with Command Option J. And this, yeah, okay, I was doing some QA earlier. I'm going to get out of that device mode, which is this button here, for the record. Super handy, but don't need it right now because I just want this code editor here. And so this looks ugly to me. I'm going to do Command K and clear that screen so I have something nice to work with. And I just want to get the logic down. Like, what are the JavaScript things you got to write to take a string like Ted Balloon, which I'm going to copy real quick, and turn it into Ted. And return Ted is cheating. That doesn't work because it has to work for Gaten Bamfuss too. So I'm going to do, let's see, and I'm thinking about how I want to present this in the course. I think we don't need variables yet, so I'm not going to use a variable, although I could. I'm just going to do open quote and type Ted Balloon and close quote and hit enter, and so it evaluates that string, and the value of it is itself, the string, and so, okay, Ted Balloon, that's what I get back. So instead, I think the skill I want to drill is saving keystrokes and building things a little bit at a time, and so I'm going to go with like press the up key to get back what you just typed, and type dot. And this actually tells you, because you know it's a string in this environment, this tells you all the stuff you can do with a string that's built in. And this is all I need to, yep. And so I happen to know that the command is called split. And I'll just say, looking at these functions, that looks like what, maybe 50-ish. I am immediately familiar with only a handful. And then it's really easy to look this stuff up, typically. Lots and lots of resources out there for JavaScript. And split is one that I know. So split, and it tells me even as I update that, okay, now I've got string.split. String.split is a function. Cool. I also know that split, I want to say by default, will split on white space, but you can also pass it an argument. So you could say split on commas if you had a CSV file, but I don't. I've just got white space. So I'm going to try calling split, open close parentheses. I'll do the semicolon because I guess it's good practice, and hit enter. And okay, it didn't work. So it doesn't default to just white space. So that's cool. I can give it, I think it's okay just to give it a space here. And there's probably some better way to do it with like a regular expression that would match multiple spaces if you had all that stuff going on. But with this data set, it's okay. We'll keep it simple, and I'll just give it a space. I'm going to hit enter again. Okay, now I have gotten back an array. Have we talked about arrays? No. Okay. Note to self. Array. Okay. So pretend that we've talked about arrays. And so you're familiar with an array, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. It's an array with 2 elements. I just need to get the first one back, and I'm done. And so, yeah, I need to talk about arrays and how to access array by index, because that is how you do it. That's going to be Ted. And so like the meta practice here is I've gone off into the corner into this little like controlled environment where I can type code and get an answer back right away. And I've taken some really simple test code and I'm just playing with it until I get what I'm looking for out of it. And that's this line right here. And so I'm going to copy the dot split blah, 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 all the way up to the semicolon. I'm going to take this with me to my actual project code. And so here we go. Instead of return Ted, no. Return player name, which is the name of the argument that was passed in this environment. That's how we're referring to it. And then I just paste. So take that name, split it on white space, and then take the first element, the element with index 0, out of the array that you get back when you split it. Return that. We should be good. So I think I need to save. Floppy disk icon. How old are we? All right, and I'm going to come back and boom. Okay, so this updates dynamically when I save over here. So that's good to know. I didn't need to refresh the page. Okay, cool. And honestly, like that's it. I'm going to close this out with Command Option J so we can look a little more closely. Yeah. Okay, so these are all correct. And so I'm already in a position where I could start going, hey, Ted, I love that you're doing such great things at Google. Allow me to find you leads or whatever spam I'm trying to send out, right? Let's get the last name, though, just for funsies and practice. So I'm going to follow the same method. I'm going to first sketch out how I want it to look, and it's going to fail, and that's okay. But then at least I have like the structure in place so that when I fill in the blanks, it just comes together. So I want this to be equals, all caps, I guess, get last name, and it's also going to be a2. Okay, Same error, unknown function. Now we know how to fix that. So I'm going to copy this and paste it and just change this to get last name. And then I'm going to change this, instead of the first, let's give me just the second one. So the item in the array with index 0, 1, index 1, 1. Yep. And I'll save again. And with any luck, balloon, Ted balloon, Ted balloon. It worked, right? So that was it. I've written 2 custom functions now, and boom, okay. So can you spot the error? If you said, hey, Tony's last name is not ban, it's ban/like, you are correct. So we've got a little issue with our get last name function, where it's splitting this string into an array anywhere it finds white space, and then it's giving you the second entry: balloon, Bamfus, Dugnut, McDykel, truck, ban. So we actually got the logic just a little bit wrong there, right? I don't want the second thing in that array. I want, I guess, the second thing and possibly the third string. And if we think about a name like De La Cruz, maybe that's the fourth string in the array as well. I want everything but the first in this setting. And furthermore, I don't want them as an array or as array items. I want them separated with white space like they came to me. So this is a little bit trickier. So let's go back to this little feedback loop environment, Command-Option-J. I just want to solve it right here, where I can type stuff and get instant feedback. And so I'm going to start with the, let's see. Oh, let's just copy it. Tony ban/like. Put it in single quotes. All right, so there's a string starting there. And what I want to do here is I win when I get ban/like back. That's the goal. That's what it's going to look like when I finally figure this out. But for starters, I'm actually going to go back to this list of methods that we can call on strings. And I think I need to approach this a different way. Like before, I was like, break this up into an array of individual strings wherever the white space appears. And then I want to get them by index one at a time. I think what I want to do here is, let's see. I just want to chop. I want to do the same thing. My bad, I'm wrong. I do want to do that. And then I want to chop off the first item, leaving me with a new array that's just everything but that first name. And then I want to scrunch that back together into a string. I don't want an array, I want a string in column E over here. So I guess that'll look like the same first steps where it's, what was it? Splice, split, white space. And so that gives me Tony ban/like. So I've got an array with 3 things in it. And my goal again is to get rid of the first thing, give me the second, third thing, and hypothetically fourth, fifth if they're there, and then put them back into a string with white space separating them. So first thing I can do is, let's see, I want to say the method here is splice, and I can't remember. Slice. Okay, lucky guess, right? So I'll explain. Like I didn't know the answer until I typed it, but in the actual method, in the actual lesson, I'll explain these and make it sound smart. But yeah, so that's it. Slice with index 1, it basically slices off everything up to that index, I want to say. And that's that. So that's enough. We got the answer. I'll dive deeper into what you need to know about slice as a marketer before I put together the full lesson. All right, so we got ban/like, and the only issue with that is it's not ban/like, it's an array with 2 strings, and one is ban, it's one is /like. And so I want to put that array back together. I want to say, is it join? Yeah, join is a function, and I want to join on white space the same way that I, split on white space. And so we take the string, break it into pieces, throw one out, take the remaining pieces, join them back together. That's what this function does. And I'm going to do the same thing, copy, and switch over to the code editor. I'm just going to update the get last name. Instead of simply .split, it's going to do this new fanciness, save it, and boom, ban/like. Okay. I think that's good for now. That's good for today. I do want a slightly more compelling, fancier example for this. And so I'm thinking we put some logic in, like maybe industry. Maybe we do some firmographic enrichment on these leads, and we're able to tell some stuff about their company size, and then we customize our messages based on that. Like that's where I'm headed with this. But I just want to put this out here and see what, if any, feedback anybody has while I'm building this. So thanks, y'all.